Now, as we know very well, many of our politicians, public figures, and media institutions absolutely love to express their adoration for diversity. We get the first one up here. This can be observed, for example, when The Economist appeared more interested in the fact that not a single person of colour was involved in the Italian national team, despite the fact that that team went on to win the Euros.
Whoa. Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
I'm not letting that slide. They're Italian. All of them are people of colour. None of them are white.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but nonetheless, there you are, The Economist. And then there is, of course, the BBC's banning of white people from applying for various positions, one being on Spring Watch. And they've, of course, been doing this with a number of positions over the years, applying also to a creative access scheme for Newsbeat, which if we get up this one now. And it's pretty unashamed, documented.
Just banning white people from jobs.
Yeah, just banning white people from jobs.
Normal things.
And they've consistently tried to justify why they're doing this. If we get the next one up here, in stating that its pledge was to have half its workforce comprised of women and would go further than ever before to represent them, disabled people, ethnic minorities, and LGBT people with its new diversity targets.
Hang on, we will go further than ever before to initiate diversity.
This was a statement released in 2016.
I know, but think about that logic. They're like, okay, so we used to, like, I don't know, specially promote jobs to people with brown skin to try and raise the percentage, and that didn't work. So then we started banning white people from applying. And presumably that hasn't worked either. So what are they going to do next? Like, they're just going to start killing white people? I don't know. Like, where does that line of logic really stop?
Yeah,
like...
arguably it doesn't it? But anyway, one Conservative councillor by the name of Luke Stubbs seems to have taken this idea of diverse representation very seriously indeed. We get the next one up by pointing out that white men are not being given equal opportunities in Hampshire Fire Service.
Too many women in Hampshire Fire Service.
By saying that
finally,
the service has
it.
too many women in it. Which he assumes must mean, in turn, that white men are not being given equal opportunities.
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah. The GB News reads, the comments from Conservative councillor Luke Stubbs came after he reportedly objected to a report on equality objectives, which outlined plans for a more inclusive fire service, including hiring more women and people from minority groups. The government is bringing in quota programs across the private sector, but only where it benefits women and minorities, he told the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Service Authority meeting on Tuesday. He goes on to say, in areas where it's mostly men, it has to be 50-50. But in areas where it's mostly women, there's no change.
Based. I mean, I like that he's calling out the double standard.
Yeah. He goes on to say, things like the control room have 84% women, and I would like reassurance that the steps are being taken to reduce that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, this Councillor Stubbs guy, I mean, you can clearly see he's a bit of an S poster. Like, he's just turning up and being like, yeah, okay, so apply your logic in reverse.
Yeah.
And now we need to kick out all the women. How do you feel about that?
He goes on, the Andover Advertiser reported that a number of local politicians were critical of Chancellor Stubbs' views, with the Hampshire Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Service making it clear that equality quotas do not exist.
Why not?
So
Whoa. They might not exist, but they should, of course, because we want representation, because representation matters.
If we're going to have intersectionism, then you have to extend that to the rights of white men as well.
The local fire service must represent the community they serve.
Yes.
So there must be 50% men.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the stupid logic that has, paralyzed our country.
Yes.
And you can clearly see he doesn't care about that because it's not the point that he wants that, it's the point that he doesn't want that. And he's exposing it. It's silly.
Yeah, but just if we may, because this has unfortunately come at the expense a little bit of the Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Service. So if we actually have a look at their job descriptions, yes. So if you can actually find any reference towards any diversity quotas, then you would have probably read it far more thoroughly than me. But in short, I went through this and couldn't find a single one.
So they've not been doing diversity.
They've not been doing diversity. There's nothing to suggest that they're actively that they have any diversity.
I mean, I'm actually quite surprised, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, given what we said about and seen about the NHS, the police force.
Yes.
What was it? Cheshire Police Force actually did get sued by a white straight male.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Because they discriminated against him for being a white straight male.
Yeah, and if we move on to the selection process, which is the important one, which basically, if you scroll down a little bit, it tells you all about what is required.
He's got a good point, though, which is why are there not references to race and gender in here? They're saying there's not enough whites, not enough men. We need those quotas. representation matters.
Yes.
But again, it only matters in one direction, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Which exposes the whole thing for a pyramid scheme that it is.
Yeah. But anyway, this, from what I've read, seems perfectly standard to me.
Yeah.
Exactly what you would expect from
if they haven't done anything, then
yeah, from an organisation committed to the fact that none of these things should bloody matter in the first place. But I also investigated Hampshire and Isle of Wight's the Hampshire and Isle of Wight's fire control's Twitter history, and the closest I could find to anything woke was actually this.
Which
because it features
for
a
people listening is a dog on a surfboard and some guy like waving.
Yeah.
I don't know, what is that, a fern behind him on it?
Yes, it features a rainbow-themed chair, which by today's standards is actually a conservative gesture, isn't it? Because it isn't the intersectional flag. This is the pride flag, effectively, that the Conservative Party would celebrate. And that's without even mentioning the fact that their fire control department, I'm not sure if you've noticed this, is called White Watch.
Oh.
Yeah. But another interesting find was this, if we get the next one up.
White Watch
fire control on duty. I know you'll probably think there's nothing alarming about this, and well, obviously there isn't. But this isn't the sort of image that a woke fire service would produce. Like this one, for example, if we get the next one up. Like a classic diversity image here, which you pretty much see, I don't know, in the police.
So instead, for the
NHS.
fire service, they have everyone being representative of where they are, whereas a classical diversity image would be representative of like Heathrow's waiting room.
Yes. Yeah, so I literally think that all of those avatars that you saw were based on real people who actually work in the department. And of course anyone with a woke disposition would probably think we should probably make one of ourselves black for the sake of avoiding.
Well, black up Jerry, because diversity and all.
Yes. Or I don't know, if we move on to the next one, they haven't exactly resorted to something like this, which is, if we scroll down a little bit, a fire engine painted, or absolutely mutilated, a gay pride-themed fire engine where essential services have just, become a medium for intersectional propaganda. But in short, there doesn't seem to be anything remotely woke going on with Hampshire and Isle of Wight's fire service. So Mr. Stubbs is either, as you say, and I think I didn't pick up on this at first, he is either S-posting, as you say, or he's making an unashamed attempt at right-wing wokeism. And endorsing the idea that we should have diversity quotas by accident.
I mean, I do highly doubt that he is seriously being like, well, other men are being systemically discriminated against because of representation. But instead, I think he is obviously making the point that, well, if this is going to be insisted throughout the country, as it has by the BBC, as you explained, well, then fine. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
We'll have that everywhere else as well.
But if that's his intention, then kudos to you, Mr. Stubbs.
Good S-post.
But of course, the most important thing here, and I'm sure Mr. Stubbs will agree with us on this, that we shouldn't care whether a fire service is comprised of 80% men, 80% black men, or 80% lesbians. None of these things should matter. All that we should care about is whether they're actually good at being firefighters.
Need to be 100% fit.
Yes. End of story.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go over to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as this Epoch series, which Bo and Carl did together, on the life of Napier, who was a chap in the British Army who decided that Lamal bored, so conquered all of southern Pakistan and claimed it for crown and country, which... very based. But anyway, go and check that out, his life and all his achievements. If you'd like to keep up with the stuff we're releasing on the site, you can also follow us on getter.com. That is lotuseaters_com to find us on there. Thank you and goodbye.